Hello, hello, hello. I am still not 100% after this lumbar puncture. I'm still having some head pain. So we're going to film this and try to get through it. I'm sorry if I'm not as peppy as normal. I do have caffeine, which is what they've recommended. I don't know what this is. My husband bought it for me, but it's pretty okay. Looks like white chocolate something. Probably some sort of Christmas flavor. Um, But I have my caffeine, which is what I'm supposed to be doing with plenty of water to kind of help with this. So we're going to do this video. And I do have one other one that I want to film today. So I'm going to try and keep things kind of toned down. So I'm going to release this one today. And then probably tomorrow we're going to do the Cody, Mary, Robin side of things. Because hopefully by tomorrow I'll be feeling better. And then I really want to try and get husband to watch the first episode before we watch the tell-all on Sunday. So that's really all I have in new news. Let's get into Janelle and Christine. So they're back in Idaho visiting Christine's brothers. And if you'll remember, it is Steve, her brother, and Levi, her half-brother. And they're going to go on a hike with Levi, Steve, one of Levi's sons, Levi's wife, and his mother-in-law. And then they're going up and you kind of see them staggered, and Janelle's talking to Levi's mother-in-law, and they seem to be like really engaged in conversation, which I thought was cute. Especially because since Janelle had said in the last episode that she was kind of nervous how this was going to go, hanging out with Christine's brothers and everything, because it's just not kind of something she knew. But they get this amazing picture on the mountain, and oh my gosh, I just want to live near mountains so badly. So badly. But husband wants to live near the beach. I'm sorry. I'll put this out there and you can comment down below how you feel about it. Mountains or constantly being sandy? Okay, maybe it's a little bit obvious that I have a preference, but whatever. So Christine says that she and Janelle are going to continue on with the plural family that they started because they're still sister wives and they're kind of the last remnants of this plural family. And Cody, of course, has to say it's interesting that they found such a friendship because it was so antagonistic toward each other before. Now, I don't know the family, so I can't talk about what their real life day-to-day looked like before, but what I can say is on the show, I think all we've ever seen is Christine and Janelle have a really good relationship. Can it be said that in the beginning, maybe there were some comments made that made it feel kind of one-sided, like, oh, Christine's just there to watch my kids and I'm going to do whatever? Maybe. But when I look at it, even when they didn't agree, even if they weren't besties, they were doing the best that they could to raise those kids. Christine taking care of the kids during the day, Janelle working, trying to make sure that everybody was fed and taken care of. And Janelle even giggles, if I want good food, I go over to Christine's house. So like, it's obvious that they spent time together, that they took care of each other. I don't think that was antagonistic. And in reality, of the four, and I'm talking the four women, the only people we've ever really seen have a relationship are those two. So Cody has to make it all about him, though, by saying, well, it's still antagonistic, but now it's antagonistic toward me. Okay. The ladies themselves told us that they didn't develop the best closeness in the relationship until they moved to Flagstaff, which, sure, you prompted that move that nobody else wanted to do, so I guess, great. But a lot of it came out of the isolation that they felt from Cody. And not even because of COVID. They talk about feeling isolated from Cody pre-COVID. And they felt isolated from the rest of the family during COVID and pre-COVID. And so they made intentional time for one another. They went out on walks. They did things intentionally together to be family. And so I think that developed that closeness and that bond. And Cody missed out because he didn't take that time. But you know what? Cody's so vain, he probably thinks this show is about him. So Christine tells everyone that on the hike, Janelle is probably naming all of the plants. And that woman after my own heart, because I recently have gotten super deep into gardening and growing and all these things, and veggies, herbs, fruits, learning their leaf shapes, knowing what my plants are, knowing which things I've grown. So like, I'm with Janelle. That seems awesome to me, if I'm being honest. So Cody says once upon a time he would have called Christine's brothers his friends. But based off of what we've seen, I don't know how friendly they could be. Whatever. Christine says they haven't discussed the breakup at all, but she's expecting that the boys will ask on the hike. They don't, because we're going to talk about Levi's mother-in-law. Janelle asks her, so you're going back to school? And they're like, oh, online. How are you doing it? She's like, yeah, it's all online. They're talking a little about it. And then we get the revelation. We knew Janelle had gone back to school at some point. I know we knew this, but it was while Gabe was a baby. So she had her first 5 children, gone back to school, and then had Savannah, which is pretty cool. And she obtained her degree. So we're going to play a game called What Do We Think the Degree Is In? I'm going to tell you what I think it's in. You can tell me if you want. You don't have to. I think Janelle's degree is either in marketing or accounting. That's where I think. I think she either has a marketing degree or an accounting degree. But then Christine shares she also obtained a degree. We have never heard that Christine went to school. Now, it makes sense because, yes, she's the youngest wife prior to Robin, but she didn't marry Cody till she was 21. And so in that time, she would have had plenty of time to go to school, finish the degree before having babies. I never put that together. So let's play, what do we think Christine's degree is in? I want, if you want to go down to the comments and let us know, oh, I think it's in blah, 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 blah. I'm guessing education. I don't know exactly what, early childhood, whatever. I think it's in education. Personally, could be communication, but I think it's education. And then they just start discussing the way that their faith looked at education. And Christine and her brothers point out the church was constantly talking about the end of the world. And so education for women especially wasn't important because your job was to get married and have babies because the world was ending. Can we just talk about that contradiction of thought? Why are you getting married and having babies if the world is ending? If the world is ending, what? Okay, anyway. So Christine's dad flat out tells her, it's not true. It's a lie. It's wrong. Go to school. And that leads me to start thinking, Dad maybe wasn't as heavily invested in the church as some folks might be heavily invested in the church. Obviously, the plural family thing, he understood, he followed. But I'm starting to think that maybe Dad was kind of like, some of this is important and some of this is BS. Because some of the things that we've heard from Christine, he said, like, when are you going to start saying no? No, Chris, that's not true. Go to school. It makes me think that maybe just a little bit. And then I'm starting to see why we have some vast differences in the family on how things should be. Because obviously Cody and Janelle, they converted into this mindset where this is super important. And Janelle even says in the LDS church, yeah, they talk a lot about the end of times and having food storage and those things. And so that's very interesting. But also Robin, we know, was in the church group in Montana. And so maybe the Montana group versus the Salt Lake City group was very much so more heavily invested in certain belief systems, because Robin and Christine have very vast differences about how this works, which is odd because, of course, we talked about before how Christine is the granddaughter of the original prophet of the AUB. And so you'd think she would know. But then Robin has these differences of thought that are much deeper, much more. And so I wonder if that's the difference. Christine's dad was very much so more of a, listen, some of this is true and some of this is wackadoodle, where Robin's family was, all of this is true. I don't know. I can't say. That would be my guess. So Janelle, of course, once again, to reiterate, says that Doomsday was an important part of the LDS church, too, for her, and mentions food storage, which we know is important to them because they go through this whole montage about it. And then she laughs and she's like, but who had toilet paper during COVID? You did, girl. So did I. That's because we buy in bulk. So we do get some flashbacks to remind us of how the food storage worked over the years, and Cody's complaining to us that it used to all be in Christine's garage, but since she left and didn't want it, now he has to pay for a storage unit for her. And dude, get a grip. You could have had a place to store it on Coyote Pass, but you faffed about and didn't build. Now you need a storage unit. Maybe if you clear out some of the junk out of Robin's house, you'd have a little bit more space. Just a thought. But also, buddy, there are plenty of people who don't have the money to go and buy fresh groceries for their kids right now. So I'm really not going to feel bad for you that you have food in your larder. Sorry. Not going to happen. And maybe that's aggressive. Maybe that's rude. But look at the times that we're in, and you're going to whine to me about having food. It's not acceptable. So Janelle says she'd love to do a family reunion right there in Idaho because it's beautiful. And they have been talking about it, but they really want to do it for the kids. And specifically Robin's kids. They very much so want to include Robin's kids. She says her boys miss Dayton so much, and that all of the children have been talking about missing Robin's kids, but that there has been so much stabbed in the back talk behind the back that she doesn't know if it can ever happen. And based off the confessionals we saw with Brianna and Aurora, I don't know that the kids will ever be able to reintegrate into the family. So they go and they're playing ultimate frisbee at Levi's, and Janelle is very unsure about this. She says she's only ever thrown a frisbee a couple of times in her life, and like, oh jeez, it kind of shows. So Christine says she's the most competitive, and that's why she left first, because she had to win, which is only a funny joke now that a bunch of them have left. It wouldn't have been funny otherwise. So they play. I think Janelle's team pulled out the win. And now we're back to camp chairs, and it is like flashbacks to the last 3 seasons of them all just sitting around in camp chairs, and I can't. But it is time for her brothers to ask her about her divorce. And Christine's like, listen, we're direct people. They're going to just ask me about it. And her brother even says, sorry, sis, we're going to ask you the hard questions. And you know what? I appreciate that he was so compassionate in that. She shares that Cody told her he wasn't attracted to her anymore, and that she wasn't nice to her sister wives. And Janelle's like, yeah, we know what that is. That's code for she wasn't nice to Robin. Because Janelle's like, you were always nice to me. So Janelle talks a little bit about how Cody thinks everyone is so mean to Robin. Janelle, the boys, everybody is so super mean to Robin. And it's obvious that that is a very one-sided feeling, because other people are very confused about why that's coming out. And Christine does share with her brothers that Cody was never attracted to her, according to him. And her brother immediately goes, I don't think that's true. Okay. So then Christine shared the things that hurt her the most, which was when Cody took his name off the house. And we've long speculated why that is. And you know what? At this point, it doesn't matter why. But Christine says he just wanted to be financed with Robin. And it hurt because it was the first time they'd ever had a combined asset in their name. The first time ever that they had that. And Cody's like, that's not why we broke up. Our breakup wasn't even on the horizon. But Christine sees that as the final straw, which is a huge thing, because a lot of times people say that men don't realize that it's over for women way before it's actually over. And so I'm seeing that there. Cody didn't realize it was over until well after it was over. So he just doesn't get that it's an issue for her. Sorry. I'm trying, guys. I promise I don't want to, like, be dramatic here or anything, but I'm trying. So Cody says it's not why they broke up, but Christine says that it was her final straw, but it made it easier financially. And then Christine says that she believes that Janelle's staying because she doesn't have an asset that's easy to disentangle in her name. And by extension, because Cody's name is on everything, by extension, Robin's name is on everything, which would make it difficult for Janelle to leave. And Janelle agrees with that statement. Yeah, Cody claims they're all in the same boat as Janelle. They all have that problem. So Christine says she took her life back the day that she asked Cody to stop staying there. And Christine wants Janelle to hear this because she needs her to know the truth of what happened. And I'm sure she does, but I think it also just sort of like, I want you to hear the vulnerability that I have. I want you to hear that, yes, this sucked. Yes, it was awful. Yes, it hurt, but it's okay. And Janelle's like, I still have my faith in my spiritual marriage, but I don't want anything to do with him at all. Like, my kids question whether or not I've even left their father, but I'm having a hard time reconciling this with my faith. And I can respect that. I truly can, because you have this whole thing where you've done this for so long and you've believed in this for so long, and you can't reconcile that decision easily. And that's really kind of where we leave the women. We leave them right there in Idaho talking about how to reconcile these differences. And yeah, that's a really tough thing to do. But there really wasn't much resolution for Janelle and Christine here. We already know that Janelle is over Cody, that the marriage is over. We know all of those things. There really didn't need to be a ton of resolution, but it is kind of an odd cliffhanger place to leave them. I am excited to see how things turn out in season 19. I'm actually really excited to see how things turn out on the tell-all, because it looks like Janelle's going to have plenty of things to say. Like, Cody can talk for himself. And she does seem to really like David. So I'm excited to hear how that all goes. Until then, I don't have a ton more to say about Janelle and Christine. Look for my Robin, Marry, Cody video. It is probably going to be in the realm of 45 minutes, guys. I have 6 pages of notes. I also went back through and tried to help unravel the timeline, you're welcome, to make sure that we understood what was going on in the time so that we could understand a little bit more about why Mary feels the way that she feels. So look for that tomorrow. Like I said, Sunday, depending on how I'm feeling, hopefully we can get the Husband Watches Sister Wives out before the tell-all happens. And then we're going to see how we want to break down the tell-all. The tell-all is either going to get broken down into one big giant episode or a couple of smaller episodes to make that make sense. But until then, I will see you guys soon.